Hello. Oof. Okay. Wait. I haven't done this in a while. Can you tell? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Frankie and it has been a very long time since I have posted a video. I know that I've been very busy. I've been having a lot of life things happen, but we don't need to get into any of that. I just wanted to say that I am still here. I am still alive. I am still making videos. And today, what I have for you is a bit of a summer book haul. I've really found myself buying a lot of books recently. I just got a job, so I have like lots of cash to spend. So of course I'm going to be spending it on books. And the past 2 months I have been buying a ton of books. I've been ordering from a ton of independent bookstores and you know, going to Barnes & Noble once or twice. So I just wanted to talk through some of the books that I've gotten these past few months, why I picked them up, and why I'm excited to read them if I haven't read them already. So I sort of have like 3 piles here. One pile is a pile of books that I've gotten from some independent bookstores around where I live. The second pile are books that I have ordered from bookshop.org, so also supporting independent bookstores. I've been trying to do that more recently. And the third pile are books that I have bought from Barnes & Noble because I cannot help myself. I go into my Barnes & Noble and it's like home, you know? From the first pile, one of the first books that I picked out over the summer, Dig by A.S. King. I've already read this book and I've already talked about it, so I'm going to be pretty brief. This is basically about these 5 kids who are in this sort of small town in Pennsylvania, and they all are dealing with their own separate issues about like racism and class issues and things like that. And then their stories all end up connecting by the end of the book. I really picked up this book initially because I'd heard so many good things about it on BookTube. I'd read Everybody Sees the Ants by A.S. King a few months before and I loved it, and I'm so excited to pick up more of her work. So when I saw Dig and this beautiful hardcover and one of my independent bookstores that I was looking at, I had to get it immediately. One of the other books that I picked up early in the summer is The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. I had my eye on this book for a while. I had meant to pre-order it, but I never did, so when I saw it in the bookstore, I picked it up immediately. I loved Station 11 so much, loved Emily St. John Mandel's writing style, so I was really excited to read this book, and I had to get it as soon as I saw it. This book is basically, from what I understand, it's kind of about this like haunted hotel. It's like a bit of a ghost story and that kind of thing. It's kept pretty vague based on the synopsis, and I haven't really done a lot of reading into it because from what I hear, like the less you know about it going in, the better your experience reading it is. So yeah, ghost story, hotel. I'm interested, I'm intrigued, can't wait to read it. One of the other books I picked up, one of the independent bookstores that's really close to my house, is What Is Not Yours Is Not Yours by Helen Oyeyemi. This is a collection of short stories, and all of the short stories, from what I understand, have something to do with like keys, whether that be like literal or like figurative keys, like keys to someone's heart, keys to a house. I don't know. I am really excited to read this. I'm trying to get more into short story collections. From what I hear, it's really interesting. This is a used copy, and I love used copies of books. They just feel so like loved, and they smell good a lot of the times. The next book I picked up at one of the independent bookstores near me is The Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. I have been wanting to read more Toni Morrison books for a really long time, and I just have not gotten around to picking up any of them. So I saw this at the used bookstore. It was relatively cheap, and I was like, heck yeah, I really want to read this. I think this book is kind of like a magical realism about this boy who is like trying to like learn how to fly or something like that. Again, I don't really know a lot about it, but I hear it's really good. I'm really excited to read it, and I can't wait to get to this one and to more Toni Morrison books. The final book in this pile of books that I got from independent bookstores that are near me is White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. This is a piece of anti-racist nonfiction literature. I have been picking up more of these books recently in an attempt to educate myself more about being anti-racist and about the Black Lives Matter movement. and I was in this bookstore near where I live that is specifically catered to sort of like revolutionary literature. I was kind of looking at different anti-racist texts, and the person working in the bookstore was like, you should check this one out first, like it's a good starting place. So that is what I'm doing right now, and I really intend to read this really soon, and I'm looking forward to further educating myself and like taking more steps to being anti-racist. So next is the pile of books that I ordered from bookshop.org. The first book in the pile is Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones. I saw Howl's Moving Castle relatively recently, actually, you know, the Studio Ghibli film, and I really liked it. I heard that it was adapted from a book, so I was like, oh my gosh, I really want to read the book. I also really want to read the book because there were some parts of the movie that I was a little bit confused on, and I think maybe reading it will elaborate on those things for me. But this book is basically about this girl named Sophie who is working this like quiet life in her like father's hat shop until this witch, the Wicked Witch of the Waste, comes and turns her into an old woman, and she has to seek out this sorcerer Howl to hopefully reverse this like curse that's on her. I really loved this movie when I saw it. I love the story, so I'm really excited to read the story that the movie is based on, and I really want to get to this pretty soon. Next in my pile is a 2020 release that I was really anticipating, so I pre-ordered it, and that is Loveless by Alice Oseman. I've talked about Alice Oseman before. I loved Radio Silence so much. I love Heartstopper, and I'm really excited to read this book, which is her newest release. This is basically a Aro Ace coming out story about this girl named Georgia who's starting university and like meeting all these new people and like coming to terms with her identity, and I'm so excited to read it. This is not like a revolutionary thing to say, but there isn't a lot of asexual and aromantic representation in literature. So I am looking forward to reading a story about that kind of thing. And this will be one of the first ones that I have read specifically about someone who is Aro Ace. So I'm really looking forward to that. Next in the pile is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. If a lot of people know about this book. I also don't read a ton of historical fiction, so I was kind of looking forward to dipping my toe into the pool of historical fiction with this book, which obviously a lot of people like, so it must be, you know, pretty decent. It's basically about these two children growing up during World War II, and one of them is blind. Yeah, it's basically about World War II and these people that are living during World War II, and they have their own sort of thing going on. Again, I don't even really know a ton about this book. I just know that it's good. I know people like it. I'm looking forward to finally knocking it off my TBR list and reading it. Finally, the last book that I ordered from Bookshop was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I read Six of Crows earlier this summer in June, and I absolutely loved it. As soon as I did, I ordered Crooked Kingdom from Bookshop, and I really want to get to it. You know, this is obviously the sequel to Six of Crows. It's about sort of what happens after the events of Six of Crows. I don't really want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to explain anymore, but I loved the first book in the series. I hear that the second book is even better, so I cannot wait to get to it. So my third and final pile are books that I have picked up from Barnes & Noble. Most of these books I picked up relatively recently after I got my brand new job, and I have like a ton of cash flow coming in, and I'm so excited that I'm going to Barnes & Noble basically every day to buy new books. Maybe not every day, but pretty close. The first book on this pile is Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is a pretty well-known, pretty classic fantasy novel, and N.K. Jemisin is, from what I hear, a really great fantasy author. I'm really excited to read some of her work. I've kind of talked about how I'm trying to get more into fantasy lately. You know, I read A Song of Ice and Fire, and I kind of was like, ooh, I'm very intrigued by this genre. So, you know, I'm trying to find some good places to start within the fantasy world, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this series and talk about N.K. Jemisin in particular. So I decided to start with this one. I'm really excited to get this book and to have a sort of introduction into the fantasy genre, and hopefully it will encourage me to pick up the rest of the series more of N.K. Jemisin's work and more fantasy books in general. Also from Barnes & Noble, I picked up Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I've heard a lot about this book. It's talked about a lot on BookTube. You know, some people really like it, some people really don't. I'm excited to see where I fall in that camp. This book is basically about, it's kind of like a all-female Lord of the Flies. That's how I've heard it pitched. I love Lord of the Flies. It's about this all-girls school who are kind of like deposited on this like abandoned island, and there's this like weird disease or infection that kind of like starts to alter their bodies. I also know that it's sapphic, so I'm looking forward to that too. There's an FF romance, which I am a big fan of. So I am really excited to get to this and to see what all the hype is about. Ugh. Please don't judge me. The next two books on my pile that I picked up from Barnes & Noble are Beastars Volumes 1 and 2 by Paru Itagaki. I hope I'm saying that correctly. These are mangas, and they're kind of set in a, I'm going to say Zootopia-esque world where like anthropomorphic animals are living, except unlike Zootopia, they sort of don't gloss over the predator-prey situation as much as they do in that movie. And in this series, it really kind of delves into like the natural instincts of the animals that live in this world, and specifically the carnivores, to like eat herbivores that they like go to school with and like interact with on a daily basis. And it is really interesting. I've already read both of these two volumes. I never really intended to pick up Beastars. I heard about it like a while ago, right after it had just won the like prize in Japan for like manga that it won. My friend was telling me about it, and he's like, yeah, I was reading this really weird manga. And by the way he described it, it didn't really encourage me to pick it up. But more recently, I was watching this video essay by Jack Saint about Beastars, more specifically about the anime adaptation that's on Netflix right now. And it really got me interested in reading the manga and then watching the anime. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I will say that it is very good so far. I have been worried that I will be called a furry for reading this series, but the dynamic that the author plays with is so interesting in this world, and I'm really anticipating how she's going to keep building on that dynamic in future volumes. So, you know, I'm having a good time. And I'm really enjoying this manga so far, and I'm really excited to keep reading it. Please don't make fun of me. The next book that I picked up from Barnes & Noble that is on my list is Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis. Lindsay Ellis is a video essayist and YouTuber that I am a really big fan of. So when I heard that she was publishing a book, I was like, yes, please. I have to read this. This is like science fiction novel about sort of like first contact, and it's about like censorship and like government stuff, that kind of thing. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm really excited to read it and to see how you know, Lindsay Ellis's excellent video essay making skills translate into writing. From what I hear so far, this book is really good, and I'm really anticipating reading it. And finally, the last book in the haul that I picked up is Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa, Melissa Bashardous? By Melissa Bashardous, I think. This is a fantasy novel about this girl this princess who has like a poisonous touch, I think. I have heard a lot of hype about this book so far. I think it came out pretty recently. And I wasn't intending to pick it up right away, but then, you know, I just saw it in Barnes & Noble when I was going to pick up the second volume of Beastars. And I was thinking, you know, I've heard a lot about this book. I've heard it's really good. I hear it has an FF romance, which I'm a very big fan of. And I was like, why not pick it up and just have it so I can read it? And that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to read it this month, actually. And I'm really excited to do that. So yeah, for some reason, my outro to this video did not film. I don't know why, so if I look different in any way at this part of the video, that's why. So now we're at the end of the video, and I'm going to be saying all of the end of video things. Namely, be sure to leave a like if you liked the video. Comment below if you have read any of the books that I mentioned, what you thought of them, if you are intending to read any of the books I mentioned. You can also follow me in my social media. The links are in the description. You can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, or Goodreads. And finally, last but not least, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and you liked the video. Uploads on my channel are going to be a lot more frequent because I have a lot less going on in this upcoming month. So I am excited to make more videos for you guys, and if you are also excited to see more videos from me, then be sure to press that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.